Hey guys, welcome to Sustainability Mindset. This is Indian Ilango. I'm so honored to present this data to you and bring this information. If you find this information useful, please like the channel and subscribe to it. I'll be bringing in more videos with a lot of information and data based on which you can have meaningful actions and we can forge a path forward to make a better future for us and our family and our future generations. I want to start by saying we are all in this together because we have one home, and that is our planet Earth. Here are a few pictures I have to show where I hail from. It's actually a very small village in southern India called Narikalpatti. And in this red box is this tile house of my dad that was built in the 60s. The reason why I want to show this is I strongly believe humanity can do wonders. It has basically, in the last few decades, we have managed to pull billions of people out of poverty. And I believe going forward in the next few decades, we will be doing the same and going even beyond that. And I'm looking forward to that. So, how did this all happen? There was a significant event that changed the history of mankind. Around 1970, the US dollar gold window closed, and the dollar was pegged to oil. When countries started using, it's called fiat currencies, where the governments issue bonds, and it has become a completely debt-based system. And you can see here in this chart how from 1970, the GDP per capita in the world has continued to rise like significantly. And that is essentially what the economy is today. It's an efficient pro-growth engine that enables value trade. So there is people who want to sell things, create value, making cars, making stuff that people want. And on the other side is the demand. People who are in need, who have desires, who want to buy the stuff. You can basically see all of this started in 1970, like the significant change. The transformation started in 1970, and the debt has increased. Here in this chart, you can see the Federal Reserve public debt that has gone up to 35 trillion as we speak now. And that's not a bad thing because, like, without the debt, what we have achieved is not possible. And that is the most ingenious thing. Debt is the fuel for the economy, and debt is the underlying backbone for the economy. Of course, like we are enjoying a very sophisticated life, a very this is by far the most interesting time to be alive with so many advances happening that it's even hard to keep up these days. And it doesn't come without side effects. So here in this chart, I'm showing you the population of the world from 1700 until about 2100, like so projection into the future. You can see that like the world population has continued to increase steadily until about in the 19th century. It started to increase much further, and when the industrial revolution started to take off. But 1950, when the World War II was over, like people had a lot of time and they were very productive and they started family, they made more babies. And it started to take off significantly. And that time was when you can basically see the growth rate was increasing a lot from the beginning of the 19th century. And along the same time frame, the 1970, something happened. Essentially, like people became more productive, and because of that, they became less reproductive. And you're basically seeing that the annual growth rate is decreasing continuously since that 1970 mark. The projection here shows that like we are already above 8 billion people in the globe, and we will probably top around 10.5 billion people somewhere later part of the century. And there's a chance that like the population will start to decline. And that is one of the major side effects of the increase in the productivity, which means like people are living their life, living their dream, buying their stuff, working, being productive, but they don't have the time to make family. They don't have the time to make kids. That's a side effect. The other side effect, of course, is the urban to rural population in the world. So you can see the blue line, the rural population was increasing to a point around 2000. And once the internet boom came, it kind of flatlined because people have started flocking towards cities and cities are increasing like drastically. So somewhere around this time frame in the 1970s again is when like people started to move towards cities and the urbanization started to kick in high gear. And now today you're seeing that there's a lot of people living in the cities compared to the rural. When you say urbanization, when you say this strong economy, fossil fuels, oil is the bedrock of this transition. Other big side effect is, of course, we are living in a closed system in our planet, which means like the effects of all our actions will be felt by the planet. So you can essentially see in this chart from 1850, average global temperature across 12 months in the year, plotted here. And this is the average temperature across land, sea, at different locations measured. And the data source is nce.gov. So if you look at the pre-industrial era, it was pretty like straight here, flat. And the beginning of the 19th century, as the industrial revolution started to pick up, there was a slight increase. And until about the 1970, there was not a big change. But the moment 1970 happened, you can see where the temperature curve is going. It's going straight up, linearly. And if you have heard the news, all the governments, the leaders, everybody are talking about this 1.5 degrees Celsius target, and they don't want to breach the target because the planet will move to like a point of no return. We are already there, guys. We are already there because if you look at this, we're looking at the pre-industrial era, like it's at minus 0.25, and all these flyer points here on the hot months, we are already at 1.25. That delta is my 1.5 degrees Celsius. So we are already there, at least on the hot months. No wonder you're seeing so many wildfires. At the same time, you're having hurricanes, hailstorms, you name it. And at this rate, you can see that like where 2030 is taking us. It's another 0.25 degrees. This is not considering the excess energy that is needed to power AI and any other new innovation that's coming up. So it is a precarious situation, and you can see essentially what is driving this steady increase in the global temperature. It's that one change, and it's the biggest side effect I see. In this plot, there is information on what will happen. It's a projection. So if today we started to try to mitigate all these greenhouse gas emissions, reduce the pollution, and bring down the amount of carbon emissions, and almost negate to zero by end of the century. And the worst case scenario is like if you continue to use it at the same pace, the worst case scenario can go up to like 30 GTC. That's like at least three times more than what we are doing today. And of course, the temperature change, you can see here, it was pretty flat and it started taking off. And we are at this point here. The best case scenario, if we lower all the emissions and by end of the century we are net zero, you can see we are still like, averaging about like net 2-degree increase in the temperature. The worst case scenario is very frightening. There is a chance that like we can go up to 8. The worst case, like if you look at the confidence intervals, like you can go even beyond 10 degrees Celsius. That is inferno, guys. It's inferno. It can kill a lot of species that's roaming around the planet today. You cannot live in that kind of situation. Life cannot be sustained. So we are in a path of unsustainable energy usage, and we need to find a way to cut down and also find alternate renewable energy sources. So this chart is showing another, because of the global warming, we are seeing that the amount of forest fires, burnt area, million acres per year. The orange line is from 1984 to 2001, and the blue line is from 2002 to 2020. It has more than doubled, and that's again indicating that we have a problem with global warming. Another side effect, the wildlife population has been reducing significantly. Again, from 1970, you can see it has reduced almost 70%. That's because of the urbanization, deforestation that comes along with it, and loss of habitat, pollution, and poaching, fishing, you name it. So this is another significant side effect. When there's a lot of people, you need to feed a lot of people. You need to give shelter for a lot of people. So the whole idea, the change was so significant. No one 50 years back would have imagined that this is what world would look like 50 years from now. And I'm sure we cannot imagine 50 years from now how the world will look. I'm really positive. I'm sure it will look better than today. And our kids will enjoy a wonderful, meaningful life in the future. So the nation started to use fiat currencies denominated in US dollar. The US was and is the strongest economy and the innovative economy. And it was the reserve currency because of their military might. And as a result, the economy was growing significantly. And the fiat based economy creates money out of thin air, literally, and it helps to put the human potential towards growth. And it's limitless because if you can issue bonds limitless, then the growth is also limitless. There has been breakthrough technological innovations in the last 50 years, and humans as a species, we have achieved unimaginable heights. There's no doubt, no doubt. So what now? There is high debt. Every country is reeling with a lot of debt, and people, they are they are actually going through a transformation. There's individualism, there's a lot of consumerism, and that has led to breaking down of joint families. When I was a kid, I remember like I had a joint family. Now, at best, we get nuclear families, and we are trending towards no family at all. And there is dwindling world population. And there is also the climate change related issues, natural disasters that can affect literally everybody in this planet, also every organism, living organism by the day. So, what's next? So, the next decades to come will be nothing like the past decades. There won't be like free rides of infinite money printing and making it easy for everybody to just live. Food, shelter, and security for everyone will be the biggest challenge that needs to be met. Because again, remember, we are in a finite system, and if you have food insecurity, that can create a lot of trouble. We can expect limited consumerism, limited fossil fuel usage, limited deforestation, limited industrialization, and limited money printing. National governments will be forced to pivot to a more sustainable and limited growth future. Now, growth is a relative term. It can be, like AI, for example, is a brand new technology, and there is a potential for huge, humongous growth in that field. But for mature technologies or mature fields, like regular consumer based industries, There may not be high growth because it's not necessary anymore. So, how can nations really achieve that? They can do that with high interest rate. They can do that with a deglobalized economy. And they can also push the boundary, push the limits of humanity with technological breakthroughs like green energy, carbon capture, and AI. And this transition will happen, you like it or not. So, no matter what, sustainability is the only solution to pass a safe home to our kids. And we can also be part of the change. All we got to do is put our mind to it and be cognitive of our what we use, the choices that we make, the carbon footprint, and so on and so forth. We will discuss all this information in the future videos. This is just an introduction video on the criticality of the problem and the future that is in front of us. The, the true reason, the true motivation here is to get ourselves prepared because at the end of the day, what we are doing today, most of the time, we think it's for our family, for our kids, leave a legacy for them. If that is the case, we need to become cognizant of what we are really doing and where we are heading. And we need to think about this money or the debt that is created by the thin air is all we care about? Or is it the family? Is it the kids? And it's the future of theirs that we care about? It's an interesting question, guys. And stay tuned. There will be more videos coming. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much.